Now, there's something I'm going to talk about here that I only just found out about. And that is a way that you can wash clothes. Really strange method that my father and mother done when they travelled across the top end. And this is a brilliant one for van dwellers. Now, basically what it involves is getting a baby's bathtub, large document container, bucket, or something like that, and you throw your clothes in and your detergent and your water, and you have it in the back of your car, and it basically sloshes around with the movement of you driving, and it's very good for corrugated roads. And after half an hour or so of driving, maybe even less if the roads are corrugated, then it cleans your clothes, and it's essentially a washing machine whose agitation is your car shaking along as you go down the road. I'm not joking. They use this going over the top end of Australia. Now, this is going from the northeast to the northwest of the country. Now, well, basically the northeast to Darwin. Now, if you know anything about that area of the country, if you live in Europe, or even if you live in America, you don't know what remote is until you've been there. Get a map out and have a look at the distance from somewhere like Cairns or Townsville across to Darwin. Up in these areas, these are the areas where people get gored to death by water buffalo, eaten by crocodiles. Basically, you can drive and not see another person for a week. If you get in trouble out there, you got to wait till someone comes. If you're on an off-road, or an offshoot or a track, and they don't come, you're liable that you can die. This is the sort of territory that you want to carry a satellite phone in, now that we can get satellite phones. The roads here are, to say they're badly maintained is an understatement, because there's so few people that live out in these areas. I mean, it's just not the economics to fix this sort of gear up and really maintain it with any real clarity. I mean, if there's mines in the area, that often helps. They make a go of making decent roads, but this area is renowned for, you know, flooding waters that'll rush down and rip a road out, real bad corrugations, areas where your car bottoms out against rocks trying to cross streams and rivers, but there's plenty of vibrations there. And yeah, they said they had no worries with it, but one thing you have to do is, when you get to the end of where you're going, you got to take your clothes out, wring them out, and then you got to rinse them, which basically means you get another container or the same one that you've cleaned out and dunk them up and down in it a few times to rinse them, and then wring them out again, and then hang them on the line, on a clothesline or clothes horse. But yeah, it's an easy way to wash clothes that I would have never thought of. Quite surprised when he told me about it. And I can give you some tips on using document tubs. Now, my hot water system, if you haven't seen videos on that, that basically uses an electric pump. And it's just a tiny weeny little submersible. It's actually only 6 volt, not even 12 volt. But that's the built-in battery that you get with those systems. It draws water from a document tub. Document tubs, when you fill them with water, first of all, if you're going to fill them with water, you want a bloody good quality one, not a cheap Chinese trashy one you got from the dollar store, or sort of a, you know, real rubbishy one. You want a good one. Secondarily, you want to, when they're full of water, the lid should be on, because the lip on the edge of the lid holds the sides from blowing out. If you fill them up with water and then you try and put the lid on, oh my gosh, you'll be driven nuts. It's a two-person job to do it. What you basically may want to do is, using appropriate plumbing glue, and some do and some don't stick to different plastics, drill a hole in near the bottom, not right on the bottom, but pretty close to it, and plumb in a plastic tap. Also, if you watch my IBC video, that's if you've got a straight side somewhere on that document tub, watch the IBC video on how to turn an IBC into a tank, and you can get these thing which is basically a threaded pipe and like two sort of flange nuts, almost like nuts with washers on either side, and you got these rubber giant O-ring things, and you tighten it together and that'll hold it together, and then a bit of Teflon tape and a tap, and you'll basically be able to empty it out without taking the lid off. You can fill it by putting a small hole in the lid, but be careful of where you put the hole. Don't put it too close to the side, which is what I've done with mine. There's a hole in the lid that the pipe for the water pump comes out of. There's another one that it feeds water in from my overhead water tank, and I've got another tap in another place to turn that on and off. And there's also one that I originally had for a dipstick to check how much water was in it, but that's a bit on using document tubs. But they're good when you have a lid on them, and especially if you've got like a little plug or something, sink plug or something, that you can block the hole up that you fill it with water, because then you'll be able to put your clothes in, put your detergent in, put the lid on, and then fill with water, and then drain the water out before you take the lid off, so you're not going to have it the sides pull out. And believe me, you know, once they get a little bit brittle in the sun and that, the sides can just collapse and let the whole lot go if you don't have a lid on. I've seen it happen. So yeah, that's a bit on the strange method of washing your clothes, which is good if you drive at least half an hour, at least twice a week.